Hello, and welcome to another video of Unknown Entities. Hit that subscribe button and bell and leave us a comment. You can also follow us on Facebook under Unknown Entities, and on TikTok under Unknown Entities 13. Today we are going to explore the paranormal on film. Amazing photographs of ghosts, poltergeists, and strange phenomenon. The camera cannot lie, it is sometimes claimed, wrongly. It can not only lie, but deceive us in a number of ways, as any special effects expert can prove. When something appears on a photograph that by rights shouldn't be there, we have a choice of at least 6 possible explanations. Is it 1, an outright fake, 2, an accidental or deliberate double exposure, 3, an example of photographer blindness, or failing to notice the person walking across your field of vision, leaving a splendid ghostly trail on your print, 4, the camera strap straying in front of the lens, converted by the flash into what we imagine ectoplasm to look like, 5, a simulacrum, or natural objects such as a cloud, tree or rock that can be seen as resembling a human figure, and finally 6, a genuine anomaly, an effect for which no normal cause can be identified. Deciding to which category a picture belongs can be difficult. Too often, especially with old ones, we do not know enough about the photographer, camera, film or scene being photographed to make a fair judgment. However, when the photographer is still alive, apparently sane, and happy to cooperate with investigators, the choice of category becomes easier. Several of the pictures that you are about to see were taken by amateurs who sent their prints to the Society for Psychical Research because they were genuinely baffled and sought an expert opinion, neither requesting nor receiving payment or publicity. Many of these were carefully examined by 2 well-qualified experts, the late Dr. Vernon Harrison, principal scientist with Thomas de la Rue and specialist in forgery detection, and Maurice Gross, who questioned the photographers at length and was usually satisfied that their inquiries were in good faith. Part 1. Ghostly Figures. The Headless Woman. Mike writes of this shot taken by his father on a visit to Edinburgh Castle in around 1980s. Mike's mother and sister can be seen sitting on a cannon. He reports that the print was found by chance when they were cleaning up the house after his mother's death. In fact, the figure is not necessarily headless. The transparent nature of her form makes it possible that her head is lost in the shadow of the stonework. There is a possibility that the image was caused by a double exposure, intentional or otherwise. Another suggestion might be that a person was standing in shot and then moved away during the exposure to leave a ghostly effect. However, the shape and perspective seem wrong for that explanation. Neither does the figure resemble a chemical stain in processing or a lighting anomaly. The clothing does not seem to be consistent with what other people in the shot are wearing. The sleeves appear to be puffed and the figure may be wearing a long white tailcoat or a full-length dress. We are left with a mystery, but no hard evidence of a headless Victorian woman. Reaper at the waterfall. This atmospheric photograph was sent to the website ghoststudy.com. The picture was accompanied by this note: "I'm not the person who actually took this picture. It was sent to me by a friend." This photo was captured in West Java in Indonesia at the bottom of Mount Gede. The people in this photo are high school students who held a camp on that mountain. Despite the site operator appealing for anyone to provide evidence for or against its authenticity, nothing else is known about this picture. It was suggested, however, that the figure might be part of the mountain's rock formation since the texture was similar. The image of the Grim Reaper is popular in folklore and in the minds of people through films and the media generally. If one cannot accept that such a character actually exists, then another possibility might suggest that a thought form is being created here. But why it would occur in this form and on this occasion baffles me. Face in the pulpit. From the archives of the Society for Psychical Research comes this baffling photograph seeming to show a male human face coming out of the stone. It was taken by Donald G. Mackenzie in May 1928 in a church on the Scottish island of Iona. He claimed the church was empty at the time and that nobody to whom he showed the photo seemed to recognize the mystery person. Assuming he was telling the truth, this precludes the possibility of an accidental double exposure, since in that case he would surely have remembered the other person when he saw the developed photo, even if he had not really registered his presence at the time. Although a photo taken before the days of computer technology is less likely than a more recent one to have been faked, the disadvantage with something taken 90 years ago is that people involved are generally no longer available to help with further investigation. Skeleton in the stones. Egremont Castle in Cumbria is in ruins and not occupied. On the 28th of September 1977 this photograph was taken using a Polaroid swinger camera. What started life as a standard shot of the photographer's boyfriend changed dramatically when she noticed various strange impressions, especially the semblance of a figure to the left and behind the seated man. Is it a skeleton wearing an orange frock coat with a raised ghostly hand holding a wand of some sort, or is it a curious rock formation? Tourist information advises that Jefferson's History of Allerdale above Derwent mentions that several skeletons have been found at various times, though we have no specific evidence to link that statement with this photograph. The tradition of the skull or skeleton being frightening has a long heritage in many cultures. As far back as the 2nd century, the Greek essayist Plutarch wrote in Moelia of the skeleton being a reminder of mortality. Even today the skull and crossbones are commonly recognized as the flag of pirates. The association with death has been maintained throughout all the art up to and including contemporary times. In music one encounters the Danse Macabre, inspired by the poem of Henri Cazalis, and Liszt's Totentanz or Dance of Death, inspired by Holbein's woodcuts. There are many examples in the film genre, notably in Walt Disney's Fantasia, the impressive skeleton warriors created by Ray Harryhausen in Jason and the Argonauts, and much more recently in Pirates of the Caribbean starring Johnny Depp. Ghost in the kitchen sink. The details behind this curious photograph from 1992 are somewhat bizarre and involve places as far apart as Sheffield in Yorkshire and Tunisia in Africa. Researchers from the popular British television programme Schofield's Quest forwarded the picture and this accompanying letter to Maurice Grosse, an expert in photographic anomalies. He was equally puzzled by it. My name is Walter Collins, age 15. Please help me and my mum to solve this mystery. The photograph appeared in our holiday snaps from a 2-week holiday in Tunisia in 1992. The film was used and taken out of the camera in Tunisia. The strange thing is that the picture is in our kitchen at home. Another spooky thing is that there are 2 negative images on the negative strips, but only one print. Help! It cannot possibly be someone dressed up because the person would be standing in our sink. It has puzzled us for 2 years. I hope you can help. If the story is true, then this is a very strange image indeed. Perhaps a combination of faulty memory and a double exposure produced this shot. Or perhaps there is something more mysterious happening. Extra figure in the fire station. We do not normally associate fire stations with paranormal phenomena, and it therefore came as quite a surprise when Maurice Grosse was sent a complete set of photographs from the fire station at Market Deeping in Lincolnshire. Only the last shot showed the extra figure on the right inside the station doorway. The pictures were taken on the 26th of January 1986 from approximately 25 meter or 80 feet, with 5 to 6 second gaps between shots. Mr. Adams of the fire service stated, there was nobody else in the station at the time. And this has been verified by all present. I think one can discount either fraud, lighting effects, or developing anomalies here. But the figure does appear to be very solid, and I wonder whether it may be an extra person who accidentally came into view and the photographer had either forgotten about or not seen. Photographer blindness. It might be an administrative worker, cleaner, friend, or even a member of the public. The figure appears to be holding something in his right hand and wearing a white blouse or shirt. It has been suggested that it might have been a female worker with a handbag about to go off home. Despite interest from local and national television as well as the press, no reasonable answer has been found. A ghostly prayer. The church in Eastry, near Sandwich in Kent, is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary and is thought to date from the 11th or 12th century. The details for this photograph are scant. It is generally believed to have been taken by Mr. Bootman, a bank manager, in September 1956, when he was alone in the church except for a cleaning lady. Although the image is often referred to as a ghostly vicar, it is possible that lighting or the chemicals used in development created the shadowy figure. This might then be an example of pareidolia, that is, twisting images around in one's mind to form a recognizable likeness. A double exposure would also produce a similar image. Alan Murdy, ex-president of the Ghost Club, comments, "I have come to the conclusion that apparitions cannot be photographed, although they might leave traces on film like fogs and smudges, in the same way a fish may leave ripples on a pond, but the ripples are not a fish." This viewpoint may be skeptical, but it still allows for the possibility of paranormal phenomena being caught on film. In this example, even if the image is not a ghost, a genuine unknown presence may still have caused the fogs, smudges, etc., to be manifested and photographed. Witch of the St. Anne's Castle. A number of investigations were held at the St. Anne's Castle public house in Great Leys, near Chelmsford, Essex. The pub has a long history of haunting and poltergeist activity, as well as a direct link to witchcraft via the story of the Witch of Scrapfaggot Green and the boulder that was placed over her grave and subsequently moved by American forces during the Second World War. On the occasion when this shot was taken, a group of experienced investigators who were placed at different locations in and around the pub with recording apparatus. Rules concerning the movement of people were strictly adhered to in order to avoid misunderstandings, and nobody was alone, since verification is always necessary for any subsequent claims. Late into the night a muffled sound was heard and Jeff took 2 quick shots into the darkness. We saw nothing except the flash of the camera illuminating the adjacent room. At the end of the stakeout they met up to discuss what has happened and confirmed that nobody had left their post nor witnessed anything strange. Apart from the usual coldness and excitement at the possibility of capturing something paranormal. It seemed that the investigation had been a failure until the 2 photos were developed. One showed the empty room, the other clearly showed an unknown woman seemingly dressed in modern clothes. It is possible that photographer blindness was to blame, but the woman did not match the description of anyone else present. Of course, it could have been an intruder, but this also seems unlikely. The casino ghost. This picture is one of many interesting images collected by the website ghoststudy.com and, unusually, it is accompanied by some details of its provenance. We are told that Mark took the shot of his girlfriend with a camera phone at a restaurant at the Bereswood Casino in Perth, Australia, on the 16th of February 2005. About a month later, friends started pointing out the strange shape behind the girl's head. The shape seemed too clear to be dust or smoke, and a double exposure on such a camera is very unlikely, if not impossible. It was suggested that the image could be that of a lady in an orange dress or something similar, with strangely colored face and hair, but nobody seems to know for sure. Mark remains skeptical, but open-minded enough to admit that it is freaky. Did someone pop in and out of the shot, or is it an example of an apparition? The photo is unusual in that paranormal images are not often taken in restaurants. We are all aware of the graveyard syndrome or haunted houses and castles, especially in the UK, but to capture such an image in this setting is particularly welcome. Perhaps it is another example of places holding highly charged memories that can be conducive to paranormal phenomena. Face in the mirror. There seemed nothing particularly unusual about this image at first glance. It is a room containing historic furniture, a four-poster bed, tapestry curtains. It is in fact a room in the Hall's Croft building in Stratford, the house that once belonged to Shakespeare's son-in-law and dates from the early 17th century. A member of the Haunted Britain investigation team was visiting the house and took this photograph, only later to discovering the figure reflected in the mirror. According to the photographer, there was nobody else in the room. If you imagine where the reflected person must have been standing, if indeed there had been someone there, he would have been just in front of the photographer to the left and facing him. Hard to miss, one would have thought. Could it be the apparition of one of the house's former inhabitants? The figure appears to have a dark jacket and white shirt or possibly a lace cravat, popular wear for gentlemen in the 17th century. If there really was no one else present in the room, it is certainly intriguing. But there has been in the past mirrors used to produce contrived shots that looked very convincing. The ghost of the Mary Rose. This shot is both intriguing and frustrating. Dated 1995, it is part of the Maurice Grosse collection held in the SPR archive. Although it is accompanied by a handwritten letter, the details are inconclusive and the person named and the phone number given no longer obtainable. What we do have is a photo taken from the observation gallery through a glass partition. The person in shadow in the foreground would appear to be a lady carrying a bag over her left shoulder, standing in front of the exhibit of Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose. There is no explanation for the white image that can be seen in the background. Maurice Grosse obviously thought it worthy of further investigation, but his precise findings have not been discovered. The mystery remains. The ghostly barmaid. In 1994, this photo was sent to the Society for Psychical Research by a Mr. Smith of Sunderland, Tyne and Wear. He also provided the negative, which showed no sign of tampering, as well as details of the image, which are as follows. The photo was taken 25, 30 years ago in a pub in Whitley Bay, Newcastle upon Tyne. It was taken on an old type of film made by Agfa that has been out of production for many years. The bar had just been refitted and the owner asked me to take a photo of it. As you can see, the lady appears to be moving out of the back of the bar with the room thermostat and part of the door surrounding through the front of her body and the back of her solid. If this is not a ghost, then the most likely possibility is that a living figure was caught in the shot without the photographer noticing it. Alternatively, the photo could have been taken fraudulently, but the figure is somewhat blurred and one is tempted to suggest that if the photographer had inserted the image on purpose, he or she would have made a better job of it. I hope you enjoyed this first part of our 6-part series. Make sure to like, subscribe and hit that bell, so you don't miss our next video in this series, The Paranormal Caught on Film, Strange Lights and Apparitions, coming soon. Alternatively, check out some of our other videos out on our page. You can also find us on Facebook under Unknown Entities and on TikTok under Unknown Entities 13. Thank you for watching and see you all soon.